Hello. It's been a while. Welcome to the Lofi and Chill Talks, and honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm welcomed by my guest here, an old friend of mine from a long time ago. My good friend Ryan, right here.
You don't gotta make me sound like I'm just so old. I'm younger than you.
Still counts.
Okay. Alright, so, to get on topic with this.
To get on topic! I like this already.
I mean, it's just. Because you gave me, I think it was, what, 2 days ago? Actually, no,
I gave you, like, at least a day in advance, yes.
Yeah, you gave me the worst news I've gotten since I think I found out that Toy Store. Blah. Oh my god, Toys R Us.
Yeah, since Toys
is closing. You told me the other day that Hitman is getting another movie. I have to sit here and ask you, why?
I don't know, man. Like, okay, here's how I got the news, right? Here's how I got it. I was just on my Instagram feed, as you do, because I was bored as hell.
The way that started.
And as I was scrolling past, I saw like a bunch of rumors like spreading around in the courtyard, as you do. And I'm like, okay, what is this? So I went down this rabbit hole. This rabbit hole, right? All of a sudden, like, Donnie Yen started announcing a few new movies, which I was genuinely surprised with. New Flashpoint, okay, he's coming back. I like that. But then Ip Man 5. That confused me a little bit. I was like, y'all supposed to end in part 4, but you were also supposed to like end at part 3. What happened? What on earth happened? I had no idea what was going on, so of course I had to tell my good friend here the great news. I had to. I couldn't keep it to myself. I was just like wondering what the hell is going on. So I was like, I'll text Ryan. He seems like a good time. Let's see what happens.
5 movies, man. 5. We need to consider this for a second. Not even Star Wars had the gall to just make 5 movies. Now, granted, they did make 9 of them, but there was always like a long separation, like the years in which they were made. And just like the last Ip Man movie was released, what, 4 years ago?
Yeah, it was back in, what, 2019? Yeah, I say 2019. Like,
yeah,
like late in 2019, early 2020, but yes. Continue. That was 4 years ago.
It just feels so long ago, man, the before times.
Dude.
But, yeah, it was, okay, look, let's just break down, like,
nice.
just the whole series for a second.
Alright, Yip
Man
1.
Yip Man 1. Alright? So, you know, the biggest conflict there was, you know, the Japanese invasion, which, you know, that to this day they will not admit to what they did. But, you know, it's kind of typical, honestly.
Yeah.
Yip Man 2. The Western invaders, which, you know, I noticed a trend with like pretty much all of the movies at this point is that there's always some kind of outward force coming in.
Shout out to all the Guaylos out there.
You don't need to call them out like that. I mean,
just say.
You call them the Japanese Guaylo?
No, they're definitely for sure.
I don't know. I think South Koreans are the whitest Asians, but that's just me.
Please take no offense. This is all a joke and satire.
Yes, indeed. And that goes out to all.
That is our bread and butter.
That goes out to all K-pop stans. Please do not, dox me.
Shout out to all the Korea boos. Love you. Sarange.
There are some excellent Korean movies out there, though.
Oh yes, we'll talk about that later. But continue, Ip Man 3.
So then there was Yip Man 3, which personally I feel is not only the best conclusion to the series, but also is it's also just thematically the best one for me. Because this time it's the main conflict isn't even, it's not like some outside invader, it's just, you know, something that in the martial arts world is, you know, a little cliche, but you know, it does happen. It's just different forms claiming that they're the best. And on one end, you just have like two schools of thought in the movie. One is like, you know, very serious about like, yes, like I need, not only is my form the best, it needs to be recognized as the only kind. On the other hand, you have Yip Man who's like, all right, sure, man, you can have it. He just at the end of the day, he just didn't really care. It's like, there's another form, you can have it. That's whatever. So it was just there was a lot of emotional moments, as you know, his wife is dying, and rather than, you know, obsess over, you know, his practicing and martial arts and his mastery of it, he just spends time with her. Also has one of the like best jokes that I still remember to this day. It's,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah, it's like, why did God make women pretty and men no, it's why did God make women pretty and stupid? And it's he made them pretty so men would love them. They made them stupid so they would love men. Like, facts.
Probably one of the best jokes I've seen in Chinese cinema.
It's so good.
It's so good.
Like, yeah, because you could argue like, oh, that's sexist, and it's just like, not really. It kind of pokes fun at, you know, both ends of the spectrum. But yeah. So I feel like it's the way the third movie ended, where it's, you know, it's not like some big triumphant thing. It's honestly pretty melancholy. It's like, yeah, he ultimately quote unquote won, but it wasn't really a fight for like he was really even that interested in to begin with. And ultimately he lost his wife, so it's just like, you know, not really a happy ending, which honestly I think kind of fits with the realistic portion of it, where it's like, you know, real life doesn't have, you know, these big happy endings. It has, you know, these pretty melancholy moments, you know, where if you take a part out of your life where something ends, you know, it's not all, you know, big triumphant music, you know. If you've watched a number of Bollywood movies, a big dance number at the end. It's the people that joke about them, but they make some good. The Bollywood makes some good movies and has some pretty epic dance numbers. But yeah, I just feel like of the movies, I feel like that one made the most sense in terms of how it ended. And then we got Yip Man 4. Now,
I can't wait to hear this.
Okay. So, I swear, I think China's just going down the list of people they've had beef with in the past. The first one was the Japanese, which honestly that just makes sense. They're at the top of the list. The second was the English, which again, still close to the top of the list, you know, with Hong Kong. There's the third one, which was themselves, which, I mean, I'm not gonna dig into that one. I don't really understand the politics of that. But maybe the third one was just the one where it's like it wasn't really a political thing. It was more of a, hey, here's some of the, like, you know, funny.
There's more personal issues, yeah.
Yeah, like here's the interpersonal issues other than the big international ones. And then number 4 was the Americans, which honestly I appreciate that. I love when our country gets made fun of. It's so good. If you can't laugh at yourself,
of you.
Look, if you can't laugh at yourself, you have no business laughing. But But yeah, the number 4 is. I honestly don't understand why they continued it. I mean, okay, like you could argue like, oh, they just wanted to have like more with like Bruce Lee, but like he was in the 3rd movie, wasn't there long, but it was kind of funny to see like him in 3, where it's just like, oh, like this is why Yip Man initially refused him as a student. He's too cocky. Also, I don't think at the time he was even looking to start a school or have disciples, so. But, and for, we had that. We had a lot of good, fight scenes in 4, I will say. It's always cool to see, Scott Adkins in a movie.
Ugh, terrific actor.
But yeah, fantastic. Great martial artist, too. But the problem I have with 4 isn't the action scenes, because honestly, I couldn't even tell you, like,
We'll go into that topic later. We'll go into that.
Yeah, we will. But just thematically, it felt too much like a rehash of like the first 2 movies. Well, maybe not the first 2, but the 2nd movie. And it's just like, yes, we need to prove that Chinese martial arts is, fantastic and superior. And it's like, first off, there's no need for that. Second, what's the major story here? Like, what's the real conflict here? Like, okay, let's really think about this for a second. Like, let's draw some parallels between Yip Man 2 and Yip Man 4. Alright, so here we have a Western force that's in China. Check. One of the masters ends up dying to the main antagonist. Check. Yip Man ultimately defeats the Western antagonist. Check. And yeah, I think that's about it. What was the overarching theme, though? Was it the concept of legacy, or what?
I don't know, like, every time I think of Yip Man, he's like the Chinese Superman.
It's Donnie Yen.
If that makes sense, like, in most terms of whenever I think about the Yip Man series, it's like their own version of Superman. He's like an all good being, and that's his shtick. And he sees like anything that opposes it, he stands up for it. Which I kind of agree to that narrative, but I cannot agree it thematically, because, like you said, where's the goal? What's the real conflict here other than just racism itself? Like, we already explored those thematically. What's the new thing? But there isn't. There is no new thing. Not to like narc on the writers, of course, since they're getting paid to actually write this, and the director is telling them to, make this story happen. And it's no fault to the actors either, since they're doing their job. So Donnie Yen portrays that character very, very well. I just can't justify it thematically when they already explore this particular topic of what racism can do. But I can see one viable defense. And I'll say this with full certainty, is that they're trying to explore a different side of racism. Not to say the first racism, like in Yip Man 2, where it was apparent and up in your face. This one explored a more silent side, or like a little bit more of a cooperative side. It isn't backed up by police like in the British during the Hong Kong occupation, basically. In this one, it's more of a collective from everyone, like the white girl to the government workers, to the police officers, to the military officer, and even to the Marine Corps, which is very interesting to me. I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, this is a different side. Instead of just one one sense of power. Instead, this is a whole group narrative, which I thought was a nice touch, mind you. I agree with what they were going for, but again, it goes back to your argument, like, what's the conflict here? Yip Man could have easily avoided this conflict. He could have easily done it, and that's in his character too. Being able to, you know, not be confrontational. But because it's like you said, it just seems like the outside world is just picking on this one guy and just like suggesting him to do these incredible things in the name of righteousness, in the name of, you know, justice. But that just isn't Yip Man at all, I think. I think he's just a purveyor of what a true martial artist is trying to be, you know, like that status of just being able to hold yourself accountable for your training, for how you treat people, for how you treat yourself. And that's it. You know, that's like the ultimate state. Like Yip Man was at that very state. But because of Yip Man 4 not having that type of challenge, it's like he's kind of one-dimensional now, instead of just being like a fully developed human being like in Yip Man 3. And I just don't understand why they would explore like such an interesting view, an interesting perspective, but not develop it further to become a viable conflict that Yip Man would be obliged to engage. You know, that's the thing. And I fear that taking it back from his, you know, humble beginnings, if you can call it that. He was a very rich guy in the beginning. I mean, very affluent.
I mean, the thing about humble beginnings is it's because the part of humble is humility, and I can't, like, we can't say like the first movie he wasn't a person of who knew humility, because I mean, like, remember when, like, I remember when, like, you know, that dude, he like just came into town, just started beating all the masters, and he was just like, okay, how's that going? It wasn't until it showed up to his doorstep where it was just like, well, now I have to deal with this. And then it wasn't really a matter of pride that he was like going out looking for this guy. Like, he was looking for him. He was not looking for trouble. He knew when to, you know, just try to avoid a fight when you can, and don't let your pride get in the way of that.
Yeah, Yip Man was very good at that. He was very good at that at the beginning. I had no idea what happened. It's just like you said, like, these outside forces really forced into this man's life for no reason, no less. Like, unprovoked, I should say. Like, that should be like a writer's block for sure. Unprovoked factors towards a protagonist. That's how I like to describe it. It's just these random encounters that allows writers to illustrate like these main points of like what this protagonist is capable of doing. I think that was their main point in Yip Man 1, to portray that. And then they had to take it a step further every single time a recurring sequel comes by, right? Like in Yip Man 2, they upped the stakes and they kept doing it for Yip Man 3. But then Yip Man 4, it's like a plateau, like things we have seen before, things we have, I guess, have experience with. But then they go off and make these choreography, and I'm like, okay, yeah, that is new. That is something different. But it doesn't line up thematically, narratively, or even like logically. Because Yip Man is getting older and older. And it shows.
I was gonna bring that up. Like, Yip Man 4, like, how old was he at this point, like, chronologically?
Chronologically, I say he would have been like in his 60s at least. Definitely in his 60s. Probably cresting over at like 70 maybe.
Yeah, because not only, like, he wasn't like going into his 60s, he was well into his 60s at this point. And like, once you hit your 60s, your body starts to just like break down. And, you know, they do show that a bit, that, you know, he can't quite take punches like he used to, but also, Like at his age, those punches, that's just gonna cause long-lasting damage. Like things don't heal as fast as they used to. They don't quite heal like they used to. And now they're making a fifth one, which at this point he's going to be in his 70s. And this ain't like, Kill Bill with Pai Mei being like over 100 years old. where the goofiness of the world as it is, you kind of just accept that. No, we're kind of expected to believe that, this is, like a more realistic world, but despite people just flying around and stuff. But that's more of kind of a from what I've understand, that's have like a traditional way to shoot Chinese action films, which I appreciate that, because I'm always a big fan of practical effects.
Oh, the wuxia films, yeah. The wuxia films, I feel like in most Chinese cinema nowadays, like no one would know it. Like, if you were like a youngster right now, you probably would not know a wuxia film if you were to like watch it. Yeah, that's sad,
so sad,
right?
That's so sad.
It's so sad, like, because that's a central piece to Chinese cinema that got them on the map, literally, because of these incredible wuxia flicks. It had great choreography, similar to like Chinese opera, and it had rhythm different to what most Hollywood actions were gonna portray. Sure, you got the Chuck Norris films, but even then you get to blow shit up. So it's like, what more can we do? Add more explosions? Nah, Chinese cinema is like raw work, raw talent. Do whatever it takes to do a stunt and get it right with multiple takes if it has to.
Yeah, like the irony of that is, you'll actually find that form of filmmaking. Is granted, I don't like watch too many Chinese films because there is that language barrier, and I can only look at subtitles for so long for who knows how many hours. But it's strange that you'll find that form of filmmaking less in China, and now it seems more like in the West that you'll start seeing that.
It's so strange. That type of switch of dynamics, as well as the switch of narrative, where the Chinese cinema seems to be going more towards the Western type of style rather than the West borrowing similar to the Chinese style back. And I'll call this the golden age of Hong Kong cinema was definitely the early 90s to early 2000s. That was like the set stage where most people should be watching these type of films for the incredible action choreography, the incredible, like, the story leaves more to be desired, but like, no, you're there for the action for sure, the stunts and everything in between that isn't story. And I think that was like probably one of the smartest ideas that they could have made at the time, because you have incredible actors like Jackie Chan, Jet Li, Donnie Yen, you have Yuen Biao, Sammo Hung, like all-stars. They were like the all-star Olympians of Hong Kong cinema at that time. And it's incredible to see them work that way because the studios allowed them to shoot that way. In comparison to the US during that time, it was very rigid. Everything was on a schedule. You can only shoot for like a certain amount of time, and you have to get it all on that single day. But then it's like it's so different now when the West started adopting that very same ideology of like, okay, we can express a little bit more time and get these shots right and find the time to do these type of choreography, this complex choreography that could be developed on the fly or developed precursor to that. And I think when we see Chinese cinema now doing action cinema, they're adopting the Western ways because, generally speaking, Western movies do very well. Even if it's like subpar, they still do very well with their action sequences, and they copy it because, it's more accepting. And it's also less time. So it's like you're saving money and other things, and the logistics behind it is sound, because the best way you can beat a competitor is if you copy them if they're ahead of the game, right? That's what I think justifies them to copy our style. But then you get like the homage of Western cinema of just like the John Wick series, you know, long, wide shots, uninterrupted takes, and you're able to see the action rather than just like see like blurs or sudden cuts or sudden camera movements. You do see that. I'm not gonna lie, you do, but it's much lesser to the degree where the audience will be wowed, like, wow, he actually did that without, you know, using very, very cardboard-esque fighting sequences.
I'm sorry, I just noticed that there's a sounds on Discord. I need to play one of these.
Wow. Yeah. Click it again. Click it again. I dare you. Yeah. Jesus Christ. God damn it. I can't believe you've actually found that.
This is amazing, man.
God damn it.
All right, but to get back to what we were talking about. Yeah, like that is something like I've noticed a lot with just like action movies over in the West now. We do borrow a lot of those elements when shooting action scenes. I mean, the biggest, like, the prime example I can think of is the John Wick series, which I don't know if you've seen the John Wick Chapter 4 yet. Have you?
I'm going this week, that's for sure. But you can spoil it for me. Bring it on.
I'm not. I ain't spoiling nothing for you.
Damn it.
Yeah, too bad. You're gonna have to watch the movie. Yeah, there's just some amazing, like, just long takes, wide shots. It's just like, movie itself kind of relies on the fact that you don't really need this big, you know, complex story. Kind of expect you to have at least like seen at least like the last two. But like, you know, like if you're watching this fourth movie, you know what happened, you know what it's about. Just, you know, get to what you're there for, which is the action scenes. The thing about it is these action scenes are like really interesting because you actually care about the characters you're seeing, and you know I think that's you know, like, you can have, like, you know, really entertaining action, but what really steps it up is when you actually care about the characters you're seeing do this action. And I think like John Wick does a really good job of doing that. And also, like, I remember the day when I found out that Donnie Yen was going to be in it, and I lost my mind, man. I have to say, he is probably one of the most memorable characters in the entire series. He's only in the one movie so far. Just, he's so good. To kind of get back to the cinematography of it, because you were talking about, you know, those quick cuts, you know, where like everything's like shaky and everything's like quick cuts. Last night I saw the new Fast and Furious movie.
Oh boy.
And that sums up the exact opposite of, you know, in terms of like shooting action. It's way over the top, completely unrealistic, like a lot of fast cuts. Hell, so most of the time you can barely tell what's happening. But the thing I've kind of come to accept with Fast and Furious is that it's the fast food of entertainment.
That is a very, very apt description.
Like it's okay to, you know, like just kind of like pig out once in a while, but you shouldn't do it all the time because then you just not good for you. But no, it's still dumb fun, and anyone who hasn't seen it, granted, like 2 days ago, so I can't imagine too many people who are listening have probably seen it yet, or maybe they have. I don't know. I don't know who's a big fan of the series. It's been running for 20 years now, but I mean, if you like Fast and Furious movies, you're definitely gonna like this new one. And apparently, it's break into 3 parts, so be happy. You're gonna get more of what you like. So there's that. Like, that is like the like comparison you could make versus how things are shot in like old Chinese action movies. You said that the golden age was the 90s to the 2000s. I will argue that. I only say that because as someone who comes from the black community, I can tell you right now, there is not a man over 40 who doesn't love action movies. Like you ask any black man over 40 and he will tell you how much he loves action movies, like kung fu movies specifically.
Shout out to the Wu-Tang collection.
Talking about the clan or...
Oh, both. Absolutely.
Okay, because I was gonna say... Because, like, thinking about that now, that does kind of make sense. As a kid, you grew up, you watched, like, the Wu-Tang movies, and, like, the 90s hit, then you're listening to Wu-Tang Clan, which uses, like, quite a few samples from those movies, actually. So it's just, it all comes full circle.
It really does.
Yeah, like I remember my dad. He'd always, he'd always talk about like how like cool Bruce Lee was, and like all like. And I would, as a kid, watch, like a lot of those Bruce Lee movies, and they are good. Granted, I don't think they're the most epically choreographed things in the world, but it was the 70s, A lot of action movies where their choreography was not the greatest, but I think what really made it special was, it wasn't really, many special effects applied because, Bruce Lee actually was just that fast. And it was historically, I think it's, very important in the history of cinema because of what it did. It bridged the gap between Eastern and Western cinema. Granted, the dubbing in the West wasn't great, but this is before the age when people were willing to translate and put subtitles on things.
Oh, you make a good point there. Yeah, that is very true.
Yeah, I think those old movies, like you said, maybe they aren't the golden age, but I think in terms of overall significance to Eastern cinema getting into the West, I would say it was definitely probably the biggest and one of the most important times in cinema to like for that to happen, because if you think about it, if it weren't for that, there's probably a lot of people who wouldn't taken an interest in Eastern cinema and really took inspiration from those things, and who knows like what movies would and wouldn't exist without that pathway into those movies and those styles. Which, yeah. Like, honestly, I'll take, if bad dubbing is the price to pay to get John Wick, so be it.
I can only imagine like a horrible British accent for John Wick. Yeah.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
Please, can someone redub any John Wick series and replace John Wick lines with like a horrible British accent, please?
Oh man, I would love to see like John Wick have like that 70s filter over it. Just like those crappy like dubs back then.
I would love to see a British John Wick come out again. god. Oh no, I can't unsee. I can't unsee it.
I don't know how that didn't work. John even say that in movies. But,
oh god damn it. Oh god damn it. Oh, I almost passed out.
Man, you're recording this. We don't need a 9-hour stream. You just passed out on the keyboard. Oh. I disconnect there for a second.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. Speaking of which, run like the tangent, and in all honesty, I just don't know why they're gonna go with it. What can they go from here? Yip Man 5, like, where can we go?
So, what was the year Yip Man 4? Like, what year was it?
It's okay. How I describe Yip Man 4 was definitely like around the times of like when the Cold War was basically happening. You know, like that was like around the time of like late 80s maybe. So just around that time where illegal immigrants were coming in, especially during that time where there's a huge surge of like East Asian ethnicities coming in to the West. So I feel like in that time frame, he would have been at least like 70, maybe late 60s at the very least. But to go from there, I don't know where they can go from here. He's dead in 2000 at least. And
I mean, okay, so alright, okay, I just found out it was 1964 that it takes place. Now let's think about this. Yeah, okay, let's think about this for a second. Yip Man died in 1972. So you're telling me that this man, who Yip Man 5, at this point would have had, I believe he died of throat cancer, if I remember correctly.
Yep, he was an opium addict. Not many people know that.
Yeah, a lot. It is a very unfortunate reality of China, especially like the late 1800s.
Yeah, the very late 1800s.
Yeah, early 1900s. You know, just that period of people would just get addicted to opium because Britain wanted somebody to trade with. Wait, am I thinking of Japan? Was opium?
No.
Yeah.
No, the British were definitely deep with the Chinese trade, especially when it comes to opioids, or opium for that matter. And it was a huge cash crop. And once you start exporting from a very cheap labor place, the British just taxed all of it in. And it just like became so out of hand that people became addicts. And of course the Chinese was like, let's get our hand in that little trade and start selling it to our own. And well, it just so happens that Yip Man, who is not as perfect as he is in film, unfortunately, even though he was a trendsetter, I'll say. He was a trendsetter. But he's not above anyone else, unfortunately.
Yeah. But oh, okay, so 1964, right? Diagnosed. 8 years to live, right? Historically. When is the 5th movie even going to take place?
I guess a lot can happen in 8 years. I don't know.
I mean, how much? Because the man literally has cancer. He is dying slowly. He is like, just logically, he wouldn't really be able to move like he used to. You know, it's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll be like a prequel deal where it's like,
God, another?
I mean, yeah.
Okay. to let people know, there were prequels to the Ip Man series, unofficial prequels, I'll say. And most of the time, they were okay, I'll say. They were alright. I wouldn't say they're the best thing in the world, but it does give context, though. It gives important context to why you see the current Ip Man, even if he had different characteristics at that. Besides the nitpicky details, besides that, like, it set the tone for how Ip Man is developed over time. And believe it or not, to some people, there were even stories after his prime, which was another film called Ip Man Final Fight. And the prequel I'm referencing is Ip Man Legend is Born. But for the Final Fight, that was actually a decent movie. I'm not gonna lie. Not great action choreography because, you know, you can't have Donnie Yen style-esque action without Donnie Yen. So it's like, what can you do? And of course, they suggested to go with Anthony Wong. Fantastic actor. Not a lot of action choreography in him, but he played Ip Man the way I feel like was very human. Extremely human. And I think that was like the selling point for me for that movie than the action itself. And it's a shame, really, like, knowing that there could be, as you stated, like a prequel to Ip Man, or a Final Fight situation where it tells more of his later life in a more humanistic way. But I'm just scared of what they will do if they portray him dying this time when he already died in Ip Man 4.
Yeah, like literally, I think the third movie ended where it's like, Ip Man, you know, he started at school and his wife died. Okay, you know, that's a logical, you know, that's still kind of a logical, like, little, I forget what the actual word for it is, where it, like, it just, makes a statement about, like, what happened after the movie's over. I mean, you could look it up out there, anybody who's listening, what that exact word is, but I, like, you know, that's just kind of like, okay, that makes sense. And the fourth movie, you know, says, like, Ip Man died in 1972, like, okay, this is the last one, you know, in terms of narratively, that's it. But, like, now they're making a fifth one, and it's just like, what's left to say, you know? Like, it's just, where are we going to go? Is there anywhere to go?
Epilogue or addendum. Yeah, I think those are the words. Yeah. The epilogue of, like, where most films end after that climax, the epilogue comes in. I too don't know what we can think of in terms of narrative or themes that they have yet to explore. I think they really milked out, like, what Ip Man was capable of doing. So it's like, where can we go from here? In terms of setting the tone, in terms of seeing the film, even. Like, it's becoming, again, like, the Superman, the Chinese Superman, really. Because there's already a lot of Superman films throughout the decades of cinema, so it's kind of already a given. Yeah. I don't know where we could go. There's, like, nothing left to Ip Man and his life to dramatize, if you will.
I mean, I'll say this. If the movie starts with the timestamp of 1973, I'm gonna fucking lose it. It just cuts to a graveyard and a hand coming out of the dirt. No. I will actually just write a letter to the, like, studio that made it. Like, I didn't expect much, but this is far worse than I could have ever imagined.
I just hope. I'm praying they explore more of the human side of Ip Man rather than the action side, because unfortunately that is kind of the cash crop of these films, is the action choreography. And to explore, Yip Man 1 set the standard for Wing Chun choreography, because previous films, they don't have a lot of good solid ways to showcase Wing Chun to the fullest, you know, because even in Wing Chun the film, the actual film Wing Chun, starred by Michelle Yeoh as well as Donnie Yen, funnily enough.
Wing Chun, can he?
Yeah, like he couldn't escape it.
Like, that's not even like his main martial arts form that they use.
No, it's not even. He's just like a standard MMA fighter, in my honest opinion.
Imagine if he had like the experience he does now, just put into the MMA circuit.
I mean, I feel like if he could compete, minus his injuries, of course, I feel like he could definitely be able to, but I think his heart really relies on acting.
Yeah, as a 25-year-old experienced Johnny, who?
It'll be interesting.
I mean, I can say that if Yip Man focuses more on like the last year, just kind of reflecting on mortality, just, you know, the things he's gone through, etc. He just focuses on Yip Man, not the superhuman, but the Yip Man, the human.
Yeah, just explore more of his humanistic side, right? I'm not the only one thinking this, right? Because, as I stated before, the choreography for Wing Chun was definitely from the first Yip Man that really popularized it and showed it in a positive light rather than a negative. Because the reality is that people really do picture Wing Chun to be in a negative light, and they have every right to say so. Like, it's unfortunate, you know, being a practitioner of it as well, knowing that it's kind of a truth. Because I was pressure tested, so that's the difference, because I was pressure tested to have that mentality to know that you're not gonna win. Your main job is to stay alive, so this is what you're gonna have to do. This is what you gotta do. And I understand fully like why traditional Wing Chun artists fail, is that they're just not pressure tested. They're relying on principle, not practicality in any sense whatsoever. And it's kind of saddens me a little bit, because we live in a world that's so saturated in martial arts that it's almost hard to say that you're a practitioner now, because you just get berated by a huge community, especially in using Yip Man as a framing device. Like, Wing Chun seems to be unstoppable. It has a great center line. It has impregnable defense, and it's also attacking at the same time. Like, that sounds great, and it looks awesome. But when it's not invincible. Literally, no martial art is invincible. No, and I'll tell you why. You know, because I think of it like this: when most martial arts have the same exact rule when it comes to a knife, which is do not engage unless absolutely necessary, clearly it is not invincible. It's just like, we have ways to disarm somebody with a knife, but you know the best way to disarm someone with a knife is? Don't bother with it at all. Run like hell.
Just run away.
Run like hell. That's like one of the first rules I taught you, I think. Run like hell. Run fast.
I think that actually was one of the first things you said. You said, like, if they have a gun or a knife, just don't. Just walk away.
Just run. Don't even, like, stop. Don't even look back. Don't even... Just take the chance of getting shot at rather than getting shot 100%.
Yeah, I mean, granted, it's probably easier to deal with a gun at close range because, you know, aiming is kind of hard to do at such close range. But like when it comes to knives, absolutely just leave it.
Just run.
Unless you have something long range yourself, just leave it.
Just go. I don't want to see anyone get cut up, more or less me.
Yeah, much less myself. Like I am not looking to, you know, have some like cool scars I can show off. If I survive it.
Jesus, that's the unfortunate truth that I think really kind of leads to Wing Chun propaganda propagated by the Yeti series. No joke. Everyone that watched the film wanted to practice Wing Chun afterwards, and I can't blame them. It looks great on film. It really does. It looks.
I mean, all martial arts look great on film. Like they made Steven Seagal look cool.
Okay, Steven Seagal. Okay, all right. you listen to you little shit.
Very low blow, I'm aware.
Like fucking hell. Like I still can't get over like how martial arts really does lead hand in hand with entertainment, and it's true. It's visceral. It's primal. It's volatile. Exciting. But then, like, again, leading back to the propaganda again from the Yippan series itself, they just portray Wing Chun to be so easy, yet so, like, invincible that you feel like you can counter everything. Like, and that's a half-truth. Wing Chun relies so heavily on countering the opponent to the degree that it's uncomfortable. Because even when I was training with you, I was like, just know you'll still get hit. It don't matter. There's no blocking.
Yeah, like look, like you can counter and you can evade a lot of stuff. You're going to get hit eventually. That's not. I think like that's kind of like how things have shifted in action movies where. Like we actually do see, our protagonist get hit occasionally, because that's real life. They're not perfect, but I mean, I think, like, okay, so to go to while we were kind of roasting them earlier, like I said, Korea has had some fantastic movies. One of which I don't know if you've ever seen is called Old Boy.
I have watched Old Boy.
Yeah. And it has one of the greatest action sequences ever for a few different reasons. One, it utilizes its environment very well because it's the hallway scene. It's a very cramped environment. You can't really move around much. And it makes use of that. But also it's just like we see, our hero, quote unquote, because if you've seen the movie,
if you guys haven't seen the movie, go watch the movie. It is so good. It'll keep you at the edge of your seat for sure, and you'll see what we're talking about.
It's really fantastic. It's one of the greatest. I guess we can call it a mystery movie, can't we?
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of mystery element. It's a basic thriller. I'll say basic thriller. But it's so well done.
But also, it's very brutal. So if you're not used to those like a lot of violence and honestly just certain themes that are very extreme, and
shout out to the octopus.
My God. So
if you guys look at the octopus scene of Old Boy, like. You'll probably be confused like why he's doing it, but it's a very traditional way of eating it in Korea.
I mean, granted, it does say a lot about the character as to why exactly he's doing it.
We won't get into detail, but it's pretty good. Just watch it.
Yeah, you'll learn a lot about his motivations just from that one scene. But one of the things about that is like, not only does our character get hit, he gets tired too, and it's very obvious that he's tired too because he's like fumbling around a bit, It's just rather than going up to hit somebody with a stick, he just throws it at him. He's breathing heavily. It's like yeah, that's real life. Like a lot of people don't understand is fighting is exhausting. Wing Chun, yeah, Wing Chun, it doesn't use like a whole lot of energy because you're not like pulling off like big roundhouse kicks and stuff like that. But also, like you can't do that all day. Like, it gets very tiring. So it's just like I feel like not enough people realize that when not only just a fight, but just any kind of it's just like any kind of like. If you think about like the reasons people practice martial arts, you have like boxing, where you have like set rounds, like set amount of minutes. You have that like in the I believe MMA fights have rounds too, correct?
Yeah, they do. They have rounds specifically. They have KO rules. They also have a lot of rules to, specific points, which is a good thing. You last longer that way. You don't die.
Yeah, and a lot of people need to realize, especially people who've just never been in a fight, like this especially goes for like street fights, and when there's like nobody else around. Because like when there's a lot of people around, the cooler heads prevail, and if things go too far, somebody might step in. But that's not always going to be the case. So there may be a time where you're just fighting somebody and you're pretty much by yourself. You understand something. You are going to get hit. There are no rounds. There are no rules. And at the end of the day, it's just about you and your survival. And you kind of just have to use whatever works, even if it's quote unquote dishonorable. Like
I did tell you in the beginning. I did tell you that in the beginning. Use everything.
Yeah, it's like whatever works, just use it. Mike Tyson is looked down upon for biting somebody's ear because that was in a it was a sports event. With sports, it's about sportsmanship and all this other stuff. But in a fight, biting someone's ear off is completely acceptable. Like, if it's about survival, just do it.
And it kind of leads back again to the Yipman series in general. Yipman 1, like I said, that was the main point for where people really wanted to learn Wing Chun because it just appeared so great. And the infamous scene, the 1 versus 10 black belts, that's what really kicked off the Wing Chun spear into the stratosphere.
Oh, no.
It really kicked off from there. And I can see why people would enjoy learning Wing Chun because they think they can do the takedowns, the chain punches, the limb manipulations. And in truth, yes, Wing Chun does that, but we're the one shot, one kill type of mentality, actually. Not the 1,000 punches on one single guy, especially dealing with multiple people. I don't think that it'll be wise for a Wing Chun guy. Because even if we were developed to take on multiple people at once, in theory, not practice, theory. In practice, you're really betting on your training at that point, just to be pressure tested, like can you handle it? And for me, I feel like I can take on 2 guys, probably not more than that. I get very disoriented after like the 3rd guy, for sure. And
my question is, if you're starting shit with 3 guys, honestly, you're just asking for it.
Like, I don't get how people want to view Wing Chun as like this perfect system, and I will dare say it's the most imperfect system because it relies so heavily on principle and theories. And despite it being applicable, in quotation marks, applicable, I just want people to know the movies is a movie. A movie is a movie at the end of the day. They're not looking to get hurt totally. They're just there to get a reaction, and that's good. The 1 versus 10 fight, probably one of the best choreographed fight in cinema. I will say that. It's so good. You guys have to watch it.
It's not even that long either.
No, it's only 3 minutes or so. That should be a relatively realistic in quotation marks.
I don't even think it's 3 minutes. Like in total, like when the fight starts to when it ends, I think it's closer to like 2.
Okay then, in realistic terms, yeah, 2 minutes. So that's a good thing. That should be your goal if you are to face that many people, you know. And I still criticize
facing anybody, 2 minutes. 10 people, honestly, just don't. If you see 10 people all trying to fight you, I wouldn't recommend it.
Run fast as fuck, boy.
Yeah, like use that cardio, man. Just go.
Use your cardio. Cardio is very important. There's a reason why people say run fast, run faster. And it also, okay, I have a critique on the 1 versus 10 fight. I do have a critique on it. Is that every single time I see Yip Man go for a takedown, that's a good takedown, right? Because that's how Wing Chun people like to do it. We do like to manipulate the arms, go for a sweep, and finish him off 1 punch. But he uses the chain punch religiously, and I hate that the most. I even told you, like, don't use chain punches either. I even told you that, like, never use chain punches. That's just a training tool to get your cardio in, to strengthen your bone or your movement, to just understand the principle of just punching, because we have a very unusual way of punching. We do. Vast majority of other martial arts, they don't use the straight down center line punch at all. No one uses that. So we're very unique in that aspect. And I always told you, like, if you want to punch fast and hard, you punch fast and hard. But don't do it in a way where it hinders your whole mobility for the next punch. So you learn how to chamber. That's the skill I wanted you to learn at that time. But then when I see, like, all the Yip Man series implementing the chain punch, it looks great on camera. But the thing that irks me is, like, it just won't work.
Yeah, like yeah, it's cool to see, like, oh, like he's chain punching somebody's like block, which, yeah, you're getting punched multiple times in the same spot while you're blocking. Like, yeah, it's gonna hurt, but also you're really not doing that. You're doing chip damage essentially, and like real life chip damage. That's what that is.
You're DPS right now. I need you to be a tank.
Yeah, you're DPSing when you're supposed to be tanking, but like not only that, but a lot of people don't understand. Chain punching is very, very tiring. like they really do not. They don't talk about that, and you can't tell in the movie because there's like cuts and stuff and all that. But like action scenes, they're not always just done in one take. There's cuts, there's different angles and all that stuff. And there's time for take a minute out and rest. So say you could do like chain punching, like in a movie, you see like you see him chain punch, and then like 10 seconds later he's chain punching again. Like in reality, it's probably like 2 separate like takes. He had time to rest his arms a bit before going back to do that. But like if you ever if you chain punch for like 5 seconds, you'll see what I mean.
I did remember that time when I think it was one of those early mornings where there was not a lot of people, so I thought like, okay, let me just train you into the chain punch so that you understand the principles of how we punch in the Wing Chun system. And you were saying, like, do people punch like this? I'm like, not really. No. This is very unusual. This is very unusual. I even told you, like, this is how we chain punch. And you even doubted me, like, is this practical? And I said, training-wise, yeah. Fighting-wise, no.
I believe that is exactly what I asked you. I said, like, okay, so I seen it in the movie, but, like, does anybody actually chain punch? Does that work? And it's just like, And you're like, now, like, if you're gonna get through someone's guard, it is not going to be through chain punching.
No, nobody does it. And I'm so upset that people think like the only main attack that Wing Chun people have is that we're very fast. Yeah, sure, you know, but we do have a lot of strong techniques. We have a lot of elbow strikes, we have knees, we have a lot of foot stomps. We also like to use oblique kicks too. We never like using a lot of punches, you know, where the one shot, one kill type of deal. If you can do it, you can do it. If you feel the need to do chain punching, one or two things has to happen. One is the opponent is already tired. Or two, you already put them in a very compromised position, which is the mound and pound of MMA, basically. So when you mount and then you pound, like you use the chain punches, and that makes sense, you know, because you compromise their position and they have no defense. So that's great. But
also, like, when you can use gravity to bring your own fists down on your opponent, then, I mean, go for it.
And that's what ticks me off too, because like I'm glad like later on in the Ip Man series, like chain punching was not being used totally in every single action sequence, which I was happy about. I was like, yes, finally we get to see different techniques that I've seen before and used. Like that, this is good. But I'm still upset that they feel like we don't really rely heavily on strength. We do a lot. We do a lot of leg training. We do a lot of movements based around center line, and we rely heavily on our core. And I've even like go as far as to say like we do have very strong attacks, but that's like heavy commitment though. Like you're going to absolutely commit to this, no hold back. But if you do that, like you're telegraphing the enemy, because I hate to say it, we're very linear, so very easy to read, very easy to block, very easy. And not many people want to admit this, but Wing Chun is very straight on. You know, as much as it pains me to say like, oh yeah, we go at angles. Yeah, that's the objective for any other fighter. Boxing, kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo. They aim for angles too. They do the same thing like us. It just so happens that we're much more straight on. We're striking art, not really grappling. And that's the saddest part, because they can easily read that. And we're telegraphing so much that it's almost impossible for you to get hit when the Wing Chun guy is striking. And I honestly wish that Wing Chun people would relax and just say that you will probably have to use different tactics outside of the system, and no one is going to wait for you to approach you in the way that, because even when I was training with you, I explained it very specifically, like, don't go head on, try to get an angle, try to compromise them as much as you can. If you can at least dish out like maybe one or two exchanges, that's good. If not, run like hell. Run like hell. Don't engage.
Yeah, it's just, I think like when it comes to like, you know, like Wing Chun people, there is like the whole principle in martial arts where, you know, if you've ever been in a fight, then you'll know that you don't want to ever get into another. Like, you know, it's one thing I don't know if it's like for like sport, you know, maybe you do like wrestling, or you know, you do boxing or anything like that. You know, like if it's for that, you know, you're like, oh yeah, you know, I love doing this, that, and the other. But like if you've trained in martial arts specifically for like self-defense, you'll know that, yeah, no, getting into a fight is not a good thing, and you should never seek it out. And like that's just kind of like it's one of those things where it's a principle that's held by pretty much every martial art. Like I don't think I've ever met somebody who practiced martial arts in some way, shape, or form that didn't either learn that just by being told it, but also just like instinctually, like they've learned, like, yeah, no, you don't use this just because, you know, you're bored and you're trying to practice. Because, you know, like, you don't really know what the other person might do. Because, you know, there's a lot of things like you don't really might not account for in class, you know. The one thing like you never like nobody ever accounts for in class is biting. Like it's a very effective form of you know, going against an opponent.
And it also, like, to end like the tangent of just like the propaganda behind Wing Chun in general, propagated by this series, is that it always seems like catered in a sense, just like towards only Wing Chun people, because if you see it from a third person perspective who doesn't know anything about it, it's like, that's so cool, like that's so awesome, like I can block while attacking at once. I'm like, you learned that in boxing too. Boxing does the same thing, kickboxing does the same thing, taekwondo even does a similar thing. Like it, every single martial arts has a similar style to
in the movie, they call it Chinese boxing. Like, come on now. It's like clearly, you know, there's a sign that, you know, Wing Chun is not, you know, completely unique in how it goes about in its way of fighting. And I mean, I don't know.
I'm sure,
yeah.
like, for most of the approaches, like you understand where I'm coming from too, because I basically just like gave you a little rundown of it. Is that it's so highly hyper focused. I'll say hyper focused on getting in close, and I guarantee you most people don't want to do that because, you know, they're scared of getting grabbed, and that's the double-edged sword. It requires you to get into hugging distance. And because they think they see it through the film, it's like, oh yeah, it's easy. You're gonna get that close? Sure, let's do this. But then, like, you get into these type of situations, like adrenaline high, basically. And the adrenaline high is getting to you. It's like, oh fuck. I gotta time this, right? But your body just starts reacting naturally from your training, and then it forces you to go into close range. And then it's like, you're just following that because that's what you're training. And then people on the outside is like, wow, that's so cool. I'm like, no, it ain't cool. It's scary. And I will go as far as to say, like, because of the Ip Man series, they view it as the gateway to striking. And I'm like, dude, if you want to learn how to strike, just go to boxing. Go to kickboxing even. Like, those are the actual striking arts that actually has promise. Wing Chun, I wish I could say I could recommend it. I wish I could say it with like the highest honor. I wish I can, but to me, I'm just like, even I implemented different move sets. Like I do a little Muay Thai, and I even showed you like elbows that are a lot more different than what the Wing Chun system has, since they're a lot more angular. They're also a lot more close in. But if you just use a little bit of Muay Thai elbows, then it's a lot more effective. And that's a shame, because I feel like the only way you can make this imperfect system work is if you start introducing different move sets from other arts to make that system work. And that's the unfortunate thing, right? Because it's a system. It's not a style. It's a system. A system built on 3 simple hand forms, 2 weapon forms. That's it. It isn't like boxing where it's only 1, which is simpler. Amazing, right? Because in Chinese Kung Fu, there's like multiple forms.
In all fairness, boxing does have its own forms in a way, because, you know, you have just like different styles. There's like outboxers, and then I forget what like the 3 main forms of boxing are.
There's the close-in fighter, there is the long-range fighter, there's also the southpaw.
Yep, the left-handers.
Yeah, the southpaw. And it's honestly like one of the worst things, knowing that like in Chinese Kung Fu, it is one of the simpler systems to learn in comparison to like Hungar Kung Fu or like Fa Di Chen or Agajong or even like Shaolin Kung Fu, like there's multiple forms, and there's like multiple things you need to accomplish to get there. Wing Chun, very simple: 3 hand forms, 2 weapon forms. That's all you need to learn. And that was like the most groundbreaking theories in Chinese Kung Fu. I think that really helps the common man to get into Kung Fu without fully committing to like a lifelong journey through, say, like learning Shaolin Kung Fu, which is already hard. It's a hard style to get into, and it demands so much of you. Wing Chun, not so much.
Yeah, but there's a reason why there are Shaolin monks who dedicate pretty much their entire lives to the art, and even then, they're not considered masters for a long, long time. And it's just like, yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. You know, Wing Chun is. They're like, oh yeah, Wing Chun is so simple, and it's just like, yeah, it is simple because it's not the end. You know, it's the beginning. Like, you start with Wing Chun, and from there, you know, kind of make your own way of how you are able to fight by utilizing other styles of martial arts. It's the framework. It is not the entire building.
It's the foundation, literally.
Yeah, it's just like you use it as a foundation. You know, you use it. You know, like, oh, you know, like I use this to, you know, work on my legs and, you know, work on like how like my striking. But that's not like the final form of what your strike's going to look like if you keep at it for a few years. You know, it's going to look different. You know, you might prioritize using elbow strikes over, you know, just regular hand strikes. You might, you know, you might use go more into the grappling portion of things. You know, your kicks. You know, you might just use. I'm trying to think of that one style of. It's a Brazilian martial art. I forget the name of it.
Oh, capoeira.
Yeah, yeah, and with, you know, leg strikes, you might go into something like capoeira. So, you know, it's more for like, you know, if you want to like test the waters for like multiple ways of fighting, then yeah, Wing Chun will help you introduce you to a lot of those things, but it's not the end all be all of things. You're gonna have, if you want it to be like effective in, you know, self-defense, which God forbid you ever have to use it, because, you know, hopefully you never get into a fight and, you know, you're able to just, you know, avoid ever having to do that. But if you want to be effective in those moments, you gotta branch out more. You gotta add more to your own arsenal.
And
yeah,
like, and I think like most people, like normal people, not like us, definitely not like us, but for most normal, definitely not wouldn't you with me, bro. But continuing
I can't even argue that. Yeah.
But continuing on, like the driving narrative, I think that what drives people to train is just that Wing Chun is just easier. It really is. It's like a gateway drug to many other things, just like it's stated. It's like that foundation. And I hate to say it, like for someone who already like trained in a martial art, like say boxing or karate or what you not, if they like start learning Wing Chun today.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just need to address the person in chat. River, you might not. He says, instead of practicing martial arts, I'm really good at running. River, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. That is probably the best way to handle that. Honestly, if you're just able to like scale over things and run away from people, absolutely go for it, man. Like if you really think about it, we're Americans. Our cardio is crap. You know, like if you could outrun your opponent, absolutely do it, man. Good on you, River. Get on that what's it called? Treadmill. My God. See, like I said, Americans horrible cardio. But yeah, just get on that treadmill, man. Just run. You can run fast. You can not only run fast, and you can like scale over stuff. Absolutely, just do that instead. Just hopefully, you're fast enough.
Don't get caught.
Yeah, don't get caught. Don't get grabbed. And I don't think anybody, unless you've really angered them, I don't think they're going to chase you for like 2 or 3 blocks. Like not even like I don't even think the cops are willing to do that. But sorry for interrupting. Continue.
Oh no, it's good. It's good you mentioned this because all in all, I just believe like if you were to put like karate practitioner to learn Wing Chun for like a few weeks, they'll notice the inconsistencies. And that's a good thing because I feel like we need to have a lot of perspective on Wing Chun because Wing Chun has been all high and mighty, traditionalist, and it's explored even in the Yip Man series. It's explored there in Yip Man 3 to like prove who's traditional, who isn't traditional, and it goes on that narrative of just proving Chinese martial arts again to be a lot better. And I'm just like, I think y'all need to like sit down, relax, and just talk about it. You don't have to like keep proving it, and I fear that the Wing Chun community is trying to get their act together. I'm just like thinking to myself like I'm a part of this community unintentionally. Like I'm a part of it, and I'm not as vocal. I'll say.
I don't know, man. I don't know if you can unintentionally be a part of a martial arts.
Listen, man, like it's unintentional knowing like I'm also the fuel to the fire, like that's what I mean by unintentional. Like I'm a practitioner of sorts of this particular thing, and I can't avoid it. Even as I try, like most of the community keep on saying like, oh, it's because of X, Y, and Z. We don't need that anymore. And to say like one of my also the other biggest gripes on the Wing Chun system is like beauty, which is the third hand form saying that it's deadly, but really the main thing about it is not because it's deadly. It's just regaining the center line when you're compromised. That's it. That's the reason why you use it. And the traditionalists will dare say like you can't teach it because it's deadly. I'm like, I think you're not teaching it because you don't understand it.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know if I would consider Buji deadly in particular. I mean, yeah, there's definitely, like there's certain strikes, they're meant to like incapacitate your opponent and, possibly do damage that's a bit more long lasting. But also, like there's a lot of finger strikes in Buji. And if you know anything, if anybody knows anything about finger strikes, is unless you're in karate where you train for things like the spear hand, which requires you to strengthen your fingers by a lot, you're gonna like, if you mess it up, you're gonna hurt your fingers bad, and you do not want that in a fight.
Small, tiny bones, dude.
They're small, tiny bones, and they're honestly, if you wanted to, you could probably bite off a finger pretty easily.
What was it? The biting force of a carrot?
Yeah, allegedly it's the biting force of a carrot, but your brain mentally stops you from doing it because you need your fingies, man.
You need your fingies.
You need your fingies. But
whoa.
Yeah,
what a poor unfortunate soul someone just performs like there's a particular strike in Beauty. You know what I'm talking about because there's a particular one where it goes from the center line. If you use Paksao, the side defense, to just push off center and then come up from below so they don't see it and go straight forward. I'm just imagining a poor unfortunate soul that like ended up missing and aimed for the mouth.
Oh no.
And then just like chomp.
Ow! Why are you making me think of that?
Listen,
God.
man, I have thought about that before. And I'm like, this is the reason why you don't do finger strikes.
Feel free,
Or-
like, if you're that confident in... I'll say this. If, like I mentioned before, like you've like if you're like if you were in karate at one point and you kind of like worked up like the toughness of your fingers, then fine. But granted, if you took karate, which is a bit more of a complete martial art of itself, you know, you're probably just using whatever finger strikes you got from karate.
You're set. You're set to
Yeah,
go.
Like, you're good, man. Like, you could study Wing Chun if you want, just so you know, like, oh, hey, maybe these forms of, you know, like locking and like joint manipulation is more for me. Then yeah, go for it. But if you're just talking like just straight up, like straightforward, like finger strikes, no, no.
You're good
I mean,
to
if
go.
you're just looking to like aim those strong fingers of yours, absolutely. But if you're just like trying to strengthen them in any way, or you're not like confident in your ability to, you know, strike accurately, then don't do it. Just don't. And if you got a finger, and also if you gotta use finger strikes, don't aim for the face.
Aim for the
Face
eyes at least.
Yeah, no, and grant those are small targets. They're very hard to hit. And just okay. I feel like we've gotten way off topic. Now we're just talking about the martial art.
This is why I like our banters. It just goes completely off topic. It's amazing. I love every second of it.
But it kind of I think the movies do illustrate that there is some flaws in just certain Wing Chun movements, and the movie that illustrated that was Yip Man 3. Now, granted, there's two things that happened in Yip Man 3. The first is the fight with Mike Tyson. I forget the actual character's name. Let's just call him Mike Tyson.
Frank.
Yeah, Frank. A fight with Frank, that is not a victory. I don't even know if I could call it a tie either. But
I also feel like Yip Man lost. I feel like he did. He only earned the respect of Frank, nothing more.
yeah, like now, granted, there is the story about how apparently Mike Tyson did hurt his finger from that scene. But the thing about it was like if you hear him talk about like the reason he hurt his finger wasn't from like, you know, just a strike, it was from an elbow strike. You know where you could find elbow strikes? Other martial arts.
True.
Right? Yeah, so like right there, you know, that's proof like, oh yeah, Wing Chun doesn't have everything in it. And the second is later on in the movie with the chain punching. There's two things to note here. Honestly, this is the one time where I would say chain punching might actually be somewhat effective, on the grounds that his head was completely exposed. And I think you know what's seen about.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Like he hit him in the eye, so already oriented, and his head was unblocked. At that moment, yes, chain punching would probably make sense. You could just punch the crap out of somebody's head. Which, yes, it's just a good way of, you know, getting your opponent down. But also, you'll notice that to avoid it, he just kind of steps back. And ultimately, to counter it, he just hits him from underneath his elbow, and then hits him in the liver.
That's a kill shot.
Which, you know, yeah, in a lot of martial arts, you know, they'll tell you to aim for the soft parts of the body. Unfortunately, the liver is one of them.
I killed over. I almost threw up.
Oh boy, you got hit in the liver once?
I almost threw up. I was so close.
Ooh. Damn, man, what were you doing where you got hit in the liver?
Listen, man, training. Pressure tests.
With who?
It was just pressure tests with some of my buddies, and They we were practicing and he kind of missed. So.
Ooh. So you're training other people, huh? I see how it is.
Listen, man, I train with a lot of people. Shush. But in general, I understand what you mean. Like, there's a lot of weakness, and it is portrayed. Even in Ip Man 4, there's a lot of weakness in that. Not only from his old age and cancer, but just like in general.
Yeah, like, I mean, it's Scott Adkins, man. He's got a lot of experience with like a lot of hard hitting moves, which, granted, you can. You can't avoid a lot of things, but like those things you can't avoid, blocking them is not the best option, and trying to counter them can be difficult. Also, you do ultimately see that the way he gets defeated in the end is mostly through grappling rather than strikes. And the one strike he does do is to the throat, which, yeah, getting hit in the throat hurts, just regardless of who you are.
And it's like he got lucky, then it does happen. It does, but 9 out of 10? I don't think so. And it's so easy to see how Wing Chun fails against Scott Adkins' fight, especially in Ip Man 4, where distance was really his biggest friend, and he has that distance because of the wide arena. And Ip Man is like a little fish in a large lake, so he's kind of just gobsmacked. Like, how do I fight this? And he struggles, and because of his prior injury in the film, which I understand, but like his opponent saw right through him.
What was the explanation for that one?
Apparently he was just trying to defend the chairman's daughter, and wait, we should probably say spoilers, sorry.
No,
but Ip Man 1, 2, and 3 is free on YouTube right now. Y'all can watch the whole trilogy.
Wait, is it free?
It's free on YouTube right now.
Yeah, just go and watch it.
Just go and watch it. Ip Man 4 is still, you need to buy it, but the trilogy is good. Just stick to the trilogy.
In full honesty, if you really want to watch 4, just look up the action scenes. I guarantee you there are clips of them everywhere. But like, if you're just watch the Ip Man series and just like watch the movies, watch 1 through 3. If you're going to have to watch Ip Man 4, just watch the action scenes, because there's not too much else that you really need from it.
There's not a lot of story.
Yeah, there's not too much story that you're really missing out on.
That upsets me, because Ip Man 3 had a story at least.
It's like I said, it's probably the strongest out of all of them. Not only in terms of like the choreography, but also in just like the conflicts and the characters and the themes, and it's such a good movie.
It's relatable.
Yeah, like, it's relatable. Like, you do have to come to terms with like those who are close to you, whether it be like, a wife, husband, or partner, or friend, whatever. Eventually, they are going to die, and you need to understand it, like how you want to spend those days you have with them, especially if you know that they're on a night amount of time. Because I mean, Ip Man had the luxury of finding out and knowing that eventually his wife was going to die, so he knew that, okay, now is the time to really take that time and spend it with her. But not everybody gets that luxury. So, it kind of tackles that whole thing of mortality, and how you want the people closest to you to remember you when they've passed. And yeah, so it tackles some heavy stuff, and I feel like Ip Man 4 definitely didn't add to that at all.
Nope.
I mean, honestly, if they just added the subtitle that, oh yeah, in the third one that then Ip Man died in his wife in 1972 from throat cancer. And we wouldn't even need Yip Man 4. A
Honestly.
single line would have been like, yep, that's it. He passed years later, and that was the end of his story. And everyone would have been okay with that.
I would have been fine. I honestly wish it would have ended at 3. I would have just said, you know what? Tops. That would have been the end of it.
Very nice, Kanye. Very cool.
It's so sad. Like, after the build up, the emotions, the story, it's just shut down. And because because I remember this, you told me about Yip Man 4. I didn't have any idea about what it was. So this is just payback for that shit. All those years back. You fucking asshole.
I'm not. No, you're the asshole. Like, I wouldn't have known it came out at all until you told me.
Like, this motherfucker just, like, said Yip Man 4 is coming out. I'm like, say what?
Say psych right now.
Come again. And I couldn't believe it. I saw the trailer, the teasers. I'm like, no. I was like the fucking Rick Grimes meme of just him just knowing and sobbing.
Oh,
no. Carl.
You know what the irony is? That cry is so bad that you doing it right there actually wasn't that bad.
I'm just like joking around, like, cause I was losing my fucking mind. Here's my actual reaction. The fuck is this shit?
My God, this is booty cheeks, fam.
Like, what happened? It should have ended in Yip Man 3. I was content. That the way they ended this film, it would have been perfect. But then Yip Man 4 came out, exploring, albeit interesting perspective, quote unquote, on racism. I get that. But thematically, logically, no sense.
Yeah. And okay. Like I said, I talked about this earlier, but like, just the way it ends is fantastic.
Oh.
Because, like I said, it's not a big triumph. It's actually very melancholy. Like that scene where like there's like those the subtitles where it like says like what happened to his wife. It's just that scene where he's just sitting in a chair, like he's just reflecting. And like there's not like any like big like
there's no score. There's just like simple man sitting on the chair reflecting. Perfect.
Yes. Yeah, reflecting on how his wife is no longer with him and now he has to live with that. And it's like, yeah, that is a beautiful, like, quiet moment. And then we have 4, which, you know, that does have some good quiet moments, like that scene where his son is filming him do the forms.
The wooden dummy, yeah.
Yeah, like, I'm only gonna do this once, so make sure you get it. Which, to this day, I'm not entirely sure why. Like, I don't even know if that's historically accurate, like, why he was so resistant to having himself recorded.
I feel like because of the heat that Bruce Lee was getting out of the community, you know, he didn't want to, like I said, Yip Man, canonically, is not a confrontational person. He never was. So for him, I feel like if I was to be in his shoes, having a student as popular as Bruce Lee, that's also somewhat causing strifes in the community because he's sticking up for his beliefs. Like, I've honestly believed like the better option was to not get myself involved. And I think that was his point, to not get involved. But then the outside forces, of course, gets him involved. And now he feels like he has gained perspective from it and said like, okay, maybe Bruce Lee is right after all. So let's just record this and it'll be immortalized forever. And it still is to this very day, still is. You can find footage of him training on the wooden dummy.
Now, granted, I think they kind of need to remaster it a bit, but that's just me.
That's just you. The frame rate is off, please. Upscale it, add color.
Man remastered version.
Oh, please. I would love to be a part of that project. Even if it's like simply just changing the title. Just let me do it.
Yeah, there's, I don't know. I'll say this about the fourth one. Some of the moments in it, I feel like would have worked best maybe as like a quick, like little short. Like, I don't think they need to make a whole movie. It could have been like a quick, like a little extra epilogue.
Film, right?
It could have been like a quick short film that the studio decided to film. Like, oh hey, maybe we should just cover these like last few big moments of Yip Man's life, and it would have been him like seeing Bruce Lee after he's gone off and done whatever, or his son filming him. It could have been like a very quick of this is how I like what am I leaving behind in terms of my legacy, and like what do I want to have, what do I know that I want to have carry on past me. That could have, you could have got that done like a simple 20 minutes, 25 minutes. It would have been fine. It wouldn't have felt like it interferes with the rest of the other movies. It was just a quiet old man who's spending his last few years just trying to do what he can before he's gone. I mean, at the end of 4, like, not even at the end of 4, pretty much at the beginning of 4, he was done. Like, he didn't need to do anything else. Like, he was satisfied as is. Like, he's not gonna get married again. He's not gonna have any more kids. Like, his milestones were pretty much done. And
he even had students teaching. He wasn't even there half of the time.
Yeah, like
past his prime.
Yeah, like he's already taught Bruce Lee, and he's going to go on and cause probably the biggest splash in action movies that's pretty much been resounding since 70s to now. Is I don't know how many people don't know who Bruce Lee is, and if there are people out there who don't know who he is, please look him up.
Look up a fight scene, any Bruce Lee fight scene, you'll be amazed.
Yeah, and I want you to know that was not edited in any way, and if it was edited, it was slowed down.
It really was.
Yeah, he actually was that fast.
Oh god, like
yeah.
Bruce Lee's legacy, like I feel like going along with what you're stating as well, like his impact, especially in Yip Man's life, since he basically trained him. But not many people know the actual truth that Yip Man didn't really train the guy. It was mostly his students were, and Yip Man was there probably like I say maybe 1 out of 10 sessions, maybe. I wouldn't even say he was formally... okay, you know what? Formally taught by Yip Man, trained by his student. That would have been a way better title, but then we won't get Yip Man series, would we?
Yeah. And honestly, I think at like that point, I don't even know if it would have been like physical moves that he taught him. It probably would have been more like, here's the wisdom I have learned. And pay attention to this because I know you're young and kind of stupid. I think that's really what the ultimate role he may have had with Bruce Lee. And it's like, yes, he is my teacher, not necessarily in terms of like, how to move, but how to think.
Yeah, I feel like the dichotomy of philosophies is also stressed. I'll say stressed upon this whole series. No joke. Every single Yip Man movie has a philosophical problem. And it all has to deal with the main protagonist, of course, accordingly. As well reflects specific characters. Notice how I said that. Specific characters in dichotomy of philosophy. And what I mean by that is, in Yip Man 1, he plays kind of like an aloof affluent young guy. But he challenges that trope by being very humble, very soft-spoken, and non-confrontational. Things that doesn't really add up to that type of trope of a rich boy, right? That doesn't really add up. But then in Ip Man 2, he deals with like the philosophy of now being a humble man for real this time, like being an actual humble man, not a man of affluence and struggling. And he can't do much other than to start at a martial arts school because that's his only trade skill. He doesn't know anything else. And he challenges racism, the very confrontational kind, not the actual secretive kind, collective, I should say.
Yeah, so like honestly, the Yip Man versus the subtleties of racism. Oh, that would have been interesting.
That was like in Yip Man 4. Like that there were subtle notes of it. They weren't up in his face. Notice that. In Yip Man 2, it was up in his face. It was. From a lot of the Chinese masters, they were alienizing him because he wants to be able to open up his own school. But then Twister came into the picture and challenges the Chinese martial arts in a very, very up-in-your-face mentality. But, and then it transitions to Ip Man 3, where it's like the deeper interpersonal issues and reflecting on what you can do as a person. Like, that was great.
And I think one of the things I liked about from 2 to 3, because personally to me, out of the original trilogy, because I'm not dealing with 4. For me, the weakest movie is the second one, because I feel like the antagonist there, he's just big, tough, dumb boxer man. And the third one, it's like, no, this isn't just some guy who's antagonistic because he's mean or anything. He's and honestly, I don't even know if I could really consider him. He's an antagonist, but he's not
he's not the traditional, right? He's not traditional.
He's not the kind of antagonist where he's purposely trying to be antagonistic. It's more of he has his own values as a traditional practitioner, and he disagrees with how Yip Man goes about things. But for Yip Man, he personally doesn't really care, which, when he gets challenged, he's like, I have a wife who is dying. You can go ahead and do whatever it is you're going to do. I'm gonna go, spend the time I have left with her. And it's not until his wife's like, you know what, just go and fight him. Win or lose, it doesn't really matter. Just go and fight him and see what happens.
I know you won't be satisfied.
And it's like, you won't be satisfied until you do. And he's like, yeah, fine. At the end, where he defeats him, he's just like, just do whatever you want from here, man. I beat you, but that doesn't really mean anything. We gotta think about it. At the time, he was the one who was teaching, not Yip Man. Honestly, I think at that point, Yip Man's like, you know what, that's fine. Teach. Spread the art. Stop bothering me.
He has enough of everyone's shit, literally. He had enough.
I fought the Japanese, I fought the English. Just do your own thing, man. I'm not fighting another person who practices the same art. Style might be a little different, but ultimately it's the same.
And that was a beautiful philosophical meaning of life, tragedy, and reflection. That's great. But then again, since they're not going to talk about it, I will. In Yip Man 4, the dichotomy of philosophy between what is right and what is wrong, in essence of the subtleties of racism. And the reason why I say it's different from Yip Man 2 to Yip Man 4 is that I keep mentioning it's a collective. It's subtle. It isn't all up in Yip Man's face. It isn't. until it presents itself in a way where there's a collective mindset in both parties, the Chinese and the Americans. And they explain it very, I guess, in a way like agreeable terms if you were their side, essentially. The Chinese did not like the Americans didn't like the Chinese. And when they are pitted against each other, they're so focused on a collective mind because that's more powerful. And it is. If you have more like-minded individuals in a group, you generally would stick to that group no matter what. That's just basic human psychology 101 for survival. And in that type of hostile environment, it pays the odds to be with familiar people that are similar to you. That just makes sense. And the way they went about it was, I said, very interesting, because it shows that racism takes on many forms. It isn't always apparent or up in the protagonist's face. More or less, it affects everyone, not just of one party like in Ip Man 2, but rather everyone in Ip Man 4. And I'll reference this channel, bless this channel, Accented Cinema, explained it so beautifully about the subtleties of the racism in Ip Man 4. And I think it's quite eloquently put that no one thinks they're the bad guy. They think they're in the right. And I think the creator of Accented Cinema explained it beautifully that way when he said that. And I started looking at this film very differently because I thought it was just going to be a cash grab of action cinema. And it was. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to change my opinion about it. It was. But after reviewing it again, I'm like, I'm noticing this. Because I thought Ip Man 2 was the weakest link. Yes, I thought the same thing. But after watching Ip Man 4, I thought it was the weakest link. But then when I keep looking back at both of them, I realized then, like, okay, Ip Man 2 is not as great as this film. Not only from choreography standpoint, I actually prefer Ip Man 2 choreography compared to Ip Man 4, but we will go heads over heels.
I want you to repeat that for the record.
Listen, like I said, I prefer Ip Man 2's choreography in comparison to Ip Man 4's choreography, okay?
And that's all the time we have, folks.
Listen, man, I prefer that. I prefer it because the table fight scene was very good, all right? In comparison to the stage fight, okay, at the Chinese festival. All right, what do you like about the Ip Man 4 choreography in comparison to Ip Man 2?
I mean, if we're going by like just regular scenes,
I'm going based off of fight choreography.
Choreography itself.
Hmm.
I'll say this: barring the stage fight scene, I feel like it felt a little more grounded. Cause like there's always gonna be like those like really ridiculous act.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's old school Chinese
Wire
ways
work,
of,
bro. Wire
work. like I respect it, but I feel like it doesn't really make sense in terms of like how grounded the rest of the action scenes are, which is why I feel, that's why I feel like the choreography in 4 is a bit better, because there are some scenes that are just more grounded than in 2. Like that table fight scene in 2 it's too silly for me.
Okay.
Ultimately, it's too silly. Now, granted, you could still like it. Nothing wrong with that.
Thank you. It's creative. How dare you?
It is creative, and it would work in any other movie. But considering it's just that one scene, it's like that, and the rest of them are really grounded, it's too silly. It's too silly.
Fine. No one appreciates wire food anymore.
You shut your mouth. Like I said, If you put it in any other movie that had more of that, then fine. It just doesn't really work here.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what? We're gonna go off topic now.
Oh boy.
There is a Bollywood movie that came out last year.
Oh,
And I think you know the one I'm talking about.
oh, which one? There's many. There's
Oh,
many
yeah,
Bollywood movies.
It's called RRR.
I felt like I've watched a trailer for it.
On Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Okay, I can watch it.
Very, very good movie.
Very good movie.
Very good movie.
Hmm.
It's got romance,
Nice.
friendship, betrayal.
Oh.
It's got some epic action sequences.
Oh. Okay.
But
Interesting.
it is very over the top, but that's kind of expected because the rest of the movie's like that. And it also has some banger fucking music, man. I'm not even joking with you right now. It legitimately has some like great fucking music.
I would expect that from any Bollywood movie. They really lean into that for sure.
Now the tricky thing is, it is like 3 hours long.
Ah, bring it on. I've watched Lord of the Rings.
Ended editions.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was a challenge. It was a challenge from many of my friends to watch it in one go. All of it.
Like,
Was it great? Probably not. Not for my sanity, but you know, we still went for it.
well, yeah, it's 11 hours and 36 minutes.
Oh,
Holy shit.
yeah. We
I
spent
don't think
half of the day.
half the day. That's the whole day. What are you talking about?
No, what we did right was we started it at like I say like around it was like around 9 a.m. we made the challenge like if you went to the bathroom, you have to take a shot. boy, some of them were very wasted. And I was, of course, you know, not drinking or eating, so I basically was fasting during that time. I fasted for 11 hours. No hydration, no food, just watching the movie. You can imagine I was hallucinating. Want to go to the bathroom to vomit because of the alcohol? Take a shot.
Oh my god, no. Yeah, no, I couldn't do it, but
I did it.
Okay,
I survived.
we're getting way off topic. My point
That's
is,
the thing about our banter, all right? It gets into this type of scenario. Come on now.
but what I was trying to say was the action in that movie has a lot of wire work in it.
Oh,
And
good.
it is good. It is good. The thing is, a lot of the action scenes are pretty damn silly.
Please.
But the thing is, that's expected. And you know, you still like care about the characters and everything. You know, the action's over top, and you just accept it, and you're okay with that. But the reason why it doesn't work in Ip Man 2 is, as I said, if you put the table scene RRR, it would be fine. It wouldn't look out of place at all. But the fact that it's in the rest of Ip Man 2, it's just
Out of place.
doesn't work. Doesn't work.
All right.
The
No
table breaks in
appreciation.
half, and they land on each separate half, man.
No appreciation for wire fu.
You shut up.
Listen, Crouching Tigers and Hidden Dragon did it, okay? Man, it was such a great movie.
I'm not gonna say Bidman 2 is bad. Just I would rather watch 1 than 3 than 1 than 2.
Okay. Ooh, that should get into a bit actually. How would we rank it? Okay. 3 is
1,
your first,
2,
really? Okay. Oh, I'm the opposite. I am 1, 3, 4, and 2.
Would rate second last.
I mean, we all know like Yipman 4 was trying to be something. It was. We're not even gonna lie. But then like we kind of understand it, so it's like, okay, yeah, we'll just stick with it. But then I do prefer 1 as 1 because, you know, nostalgia. I know. I'm letting nostalgia kick in. I'm fucking
You
hippie
really are getting
that.
You ain't that old, man. Come on.
Oh god, don't remind me. I'm about to turn 25. I'm 24 now. I can't believe I'm gonna hit 30. Jesus.
You're 25, right?
I'm gonna be 20. I'm 24 now, but I'm gonna be 25 in November. I'm a late baby, remember?
Yeah, dude, you're not gonna hit 30 for another 5 years.
I know, but it's getting there, man. Time flies by so fast. I didn't realize that we were out of the fucking... Oh, God, I can't believe it's almost been 10 years.
I can believe it.
But 2013...
Maybe the 10 years hasn't felt like 10 years to you, but sure as shit has felt like 10 years for me. Granted, in terms of like how long we've known each other, it actually hasn't been 10 years.
No, it hasn't been 10 years. No, I just saying it's been 10 years since 2013, where I first got to high school.
The thing is, you didn't meet me directly.
No, I didn't meet you. No,
somebody else, and I forget which one it was.
I think I met through Haley. Oh, I hope she's doing well, actually.
Was it Sierra? No, it was Haley because you were in it.
It was Haley. I was there. I think we were in Earthscience, I think. It was my second year, sophomore year, where I met y'all when you were in your freshman year.
And Haley knew me from elementary school. And Sierra knew Haley from Alley. And then we were all just sitting at a table, then you walked over.
I know, I just walked over. I was just like, I don't eat lunch, so I'm gonna just chill right here.
Then I remember, and then it was a Call of Duty reference to Richtofen. Like,
oh yeah, it was!
It was like, Herr Doctor.
It was such a dumb reference. And then we just hit it off from there.
What a time.
Oh, god damn it.
Let's not just go down memory lane. Nobody else is gonna get it.
No one's gonna get it, bro, except for us. It's okay.
like literally, literally all the people that were there, like back then, I haven't spoken to them in years.
They're all doing their own thing. Except for me.
They're all doing their own thing. You're still hanging around talking to me.
It's like one of those, like, what was it? One of those animes where, like, the senpai just happens to be keeping in touch with their kohai.
I don't gotta make it like an anime, man.
Ugh, dude, my whole life is a fucking anime, apparently.
I mean, actually, yeah. No, that makes sense. There's a few things that I think about our friendship. One of which is that, you know, we just had, you know, very similar interests. You had a first-hand experience of cultures that I've took an interest in, but didn't actually know, like, firsthand what they were like.
Mm-hmm.
And then was the fact that you were the embodiment of every fucking Asian stereotype.
Yes.
I asked you what your favorite color was, and you said white, And I said, is it because it's the color of rice? And you said yes.
Yep. I did say that.
I'm like, you racist bastard.
Listen here, man. White is a beautiful color. I don't know what you're on about. Shout out to all the Philos, but no one will understand that joke.
So for everyone out there, for every white woman out there, know that Bang is looking for you. Oh man, you are gonna get some shit from your family if you bring home a whitey, dude.
Oh god, I'm already like, oh god, I'm already getting like anxiety of just thinking of getting a date because I'm a family alone.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
My dad is even joking, like, you know, in college I used to get a lot of girls. You should too. Oh my god, that just like Dad, shot me down so bad.
Like, Dad, that was the 80s.
Dude, my dad was styling in the 80s, bro. He was styling. Like, man had like the back then? Dude, I wish okay, I gotta picture it one day, but he had like the Jackie Chan long hair. He had like the long sleeve, uncuffed, and like mom jeans. It was like probably the most incredible photo I've ever seen of my old man. Oh
my god, he was
literally dressing like Jackie Chan, bro.
It was 80s Asian hot. Shit, actually, I don't think he was lying.
No, I'm not lying.
Serious. It's like, yes, son, I got all the women back then.
Dude, he was
looked like
styling.
Jackie Chan. They mistook me for Jackie Chan, and I didn't correct them.
Era appropriate.
Like that, I feel like there's some very questionable things here. It's like, don't worry about it.
It's not a questionable thing. My dad has every right to doubt me because, you know, he always said like, son, you're very talented. How do you got no lady yet?
Oh, the classic familial guilt.
Dude, it's not even familial guilt. Like, my dad is like genuinely questioning me, like, you know, son, you're very good with computers, you're very good at gaming, you're very good at reading, you're very good at writing, you're very good at cooking. No lady.
Pa, I'm ugly.
I didn't even. I'm like seriously like questioning my life choices now. All of a sudden, I'm like, Dad, like, I don't look after women. And he's like, oh, I know, you're like the studious type. I'm like, damn, I'm being straight up roasted right now.
It's like, no, you're the studious type. Like, you are not good with women.
Like, I wish you would have said that. I wish you would have said that. Instead, he's just told me like, I'm just joking, son. You give them when you want to. I'm like, oh my god. Jeez. More nail in the coffins for your boy.
It's like, I mean, I'll say this: dating in your early to mid 20s is absolutely awful.
Oh, it really is.
Dating in your 20s, period, is awful. Because the thing is, you're encountering a lot of different people. Because you can either think about it like this: people in their 20s take a few different paths. But the two major paths I found are those who are still just trying to figure out their stuff, and those who are like career-oriented, you know, trying to do the adulting thing when others are still trying to figure out the adulting thing. The problem is, you don't just want to date anybody because, you know, you kind of want somebody who is going to interest you as much as, you know, you may interest them. So, you know, like, if you look at my case, I make amount a year, and, you know, like, I kind of, and, you know, I feel like I'm very self-sufficient. Not self-sufficient, but self-efficient. I'm kind of looking for somebody else who's like that, but the thing is, you know, there are a lot of people out there like that, but also a lot of them are already dating somebody. That leaves me with people who, you know, are still trying to figure out the adulting thing, and personally, I'm not, like, huge fan of dating folks who are at that stage in life. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it, it's just not what I'm looking for.
You're just looking for a little bit of fun, right?
And like I'm not looking for, you know, just some fun. I'm looking for a partner,
Mm.
proper one. And that makes me a fucking idiot because looking for a long-term relationship this early on in life is pretty goddamn dumb.
I know my family won't accept any other.
It's like you need to marry the doctor.
Oh God! Don't remind me. I can't ever be a doctor or lawyer.
You cannot be the doctor or lawyer. You must marry the doctor or the lawyer.
Oh God! Don't remind me. I'm already getting knives in my back from my mom. Just like, you know, we could get you a girl from the old country. I'm like,
She's a farmer. It's like she's a good woman.
you marry her, you get to America. I'm like, Mom,
You know what, Jay? Think about it like this. It might not be such a bad idea.
Oh God damn it! Don't you dare agree with my parents.
No, just hear me out. You're just looking for someone to, you know, just be at the house. You know, just do the domestic stuff.
Listen, I
By
do
the
the
way-
domestic stuff. I don't want to hear.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they find a doctor from your old country. Huh?
Among people.
Just saying that. Because the thing is, you have the option of, you know, could find someone from the old country. I don't have that option. The old country is here.
There's a lot of fish in the sea.
Bro, first off, there's a lot of fish in the sea. There's also a lot of trash in the sea too.
Oh God damn it!
No offense to anyone out there. I'm just making a statement that not everybody you meet is a good option to have as a partner. That is all I'm saying. Like we were talking about this earlier. We're not trying to be one of those misogynistic podcasts talking about you know cryptocurrency and sigma males.
It's funny how you said that. Like, dude, tying back to what we were previously talking about earlier before the podcast, we were making jokes about the podcast, about mine specifically. We get off on this tangent of like Sigma males being everywhere because everyone's talking about it. And that is a trend nowadays where people are talking about lifestyles and how to get money and how to
grind set. What
yeah,
the
grind
fuck is
set.
a grind set? Like I don't like working as it is. I'm not trying to grind at work.
I think it's just hilarious. Like people get up on this trend and they get like really hot opinions or hot takes, and they just go off on that. I'm like, how's your mentality? I gotta ask.
They're like, yeah, you know, it's just like the grind set, man. It's just like, dude, you're giving out advice that's honestly probably not even that great.
No.
Like a lot of it's like obvious, like you know. I think the ones that I hate the most are ones who are like if you want to get women, you gotta do this, and I'm like, you do understand that women are different from you know person to person, right? Different women have different tastes. And not everyone is into you know. But like, there's not a set way of you know attracting somebody like a long-term partner. If you're looking for hookups, then yeah, honestly, there is just like you know, very clear-cut ways in which you know.
I think that's what they're
trying to
talking about, like the hookup culture, and it's huge.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can't spend your whole life doing that. There's some people who can. But those are also people who have like significantly large amounts of money, where they feel like if they get into a long-term relationship, then they'll probably try to get money out of them. If they only have to spend a certain amount of money for that one night, and that's the end of it, then yeah, fine. But a lot of us don't have that level of money. There's this whole thing of like, you know, women want, you know, a guy who makes like, you know, this much per year, but Most of us ain't making that kind of money. I mean,
I'm a guy that
honestly,
can make $100,000 a year and get benefits.
the irony of that is, I can fit that description. I'm not making six figures just yet, but I could. It's just...
They just want material. Well, okay. I should not
That's
say
the
that.
problem. It's too materialistic. I don't care for somebody who's all about, you know, oh, here, like, oh, you make this much per year. I care about what the person is like.
Thank
Like,
you.
most important things for me in a person are the things you can't touch. And, you know, like, can they hold a conversation? Are they interesting to talk to? Do they make you laugh? You know, do they have, like, ambitions of their own? Are they a complete person in and of themselves? You know, like, it's just a lot of things. Like, are they flawed, but, you know, they're still trying to work through those flaws? It's a whole thing about for like long-term relationships and love is, when it comes to it, having a partner, it's not really a matter of, oh, I need you. It should be, I want you, and I choose to have you a part of my life every single day. Personally, I find that way more romantic than, oh, you complete me. Because that's not a healthy way to live. Because what if they decide, oh, I want to go do something else or be with somebody else, or, you know, maybe just go find myself instead. You know, like, if you're not a complete person by yourself, then no, you're not doing something right. But if you just want that person there and you choose to have them there every single day, that's a conscious choice, man. The fact that you make that conscious choice, want to be there and want them there with you, I think that's a whole hell of a lot more loving.
I personally think the same way. Only the difference, I'll say, the difference is for me, can you accept my family for who they are at the very least? Can you do that? Like, no joke, I would choose my family 10 out of 10 times over my girl. I would do it. So that's why I have to know if this question could be answered. I hope she will say yes. If not, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna lie. My family means a lot to me. We're the only ones stateside. Practically, we're the only ones. So there's a huge concern for me to, keep them safe and healthy. I have reasons. And for her, she might not have that reason. She might be generations down the line in America and be completely fine with leaving the family. And I'm like, I don't know. Can she stick it out with my family if that's the case? Or she might be in a similar situation, and we both have to come to terms that when it comes down to it, between our families, we would leave each other.
Oh boy.
Yeah. You see where I'm getting at here, right?
So what you're telling me is you can't date a white girl.
Oh my god. I'm praying that I'm open to options right now. I'm praying. The problem is do they have the same values as I do? That's a big problem, because if they do, then we're gonna have trouble on our hands. It's gonna be a bloodbath.
Oh my god.
It really is, because say I dated an Asian girl, just saying, stereotypically, we're gonna share the same values. We are. There's no way. There's not a single trend that will deviate from the social norms of the Hmong society in general. There's no way. She'll know why. And if she fights back, and there's a high chance of that happening, I would choose my family over her. And she'll probably do the same if she was in a situation. But say if it was a white girl, yeah, teaching her the ropes is gonna be the make or break point for that white woman. No offense to them, y'all are pretty, But cultural understanding is fucking paramount. It really is.
Learn the language, and on top of that, every time you see them, it needs to be obvious that you've gotten better at the language.
Yeah,
So-
that's the problem, right? I don't know how committed they're gonna learn about not only my family, but the culture behind said family, the norms of said family. Can they carry that weight? Can they do it? I guarantee you, 9 out of 10 times out of a white chick, probably not.
I mean, you live in California. It's not just white chicks.
Okay.
There's
I'm saying for most people outside of my ethnicity, 9 out of 10 times will probably buckle under that statement alone, having to deal with my family, because they had to understand the culture, the norms, the language, how I treat them. They're gonna be respectful, I'm sure, but they're not gonna understand why they're being respectful. That's my biggest fear when dating people outside of my ethnicity, because one, they're out of the gate. Like, that ship has sailed. They will never understand until A, they approach me and talk to me about it. Sure, that's fine. I can easily teach that person. Give me a month or so, they'll be on their way. But having that type of commitment for said month is going to be a lot on that person, especially if they want to meet your family, no less. And I'm sure every family is different. I'm not saying all white, Latina, black, Indian, or have you are not accepting of my kind. I'm just saying. It's just, I have such a unique culture that...
You really hit them with the, we don't like your kind around here.
Like, no joke. Like, I feel like everyone out there, even to other ethnicities similar, like Chinese, Korean, Japanese, and what have you, I'm so goddamn unique, it's impossible to even say, like, we're in the same boat, despite me being Asian, of course. And that's the heartbreaking thing. I'm too unique to the point where it's like, it's a heavy commitment to even understand where I'm coming from. And that's if I'm dating within my boundaries. If I date, say, like a Hmong girl, then there's no problem. They understand. But say I'm dating a Chinese person and my family finds out, they'll know immediately that I have to deal with not only teaching them, but also how to interact with this person. Because my dad specifically told me, because him being a master's of psychology, he always told me that statistically speaking, in the US alone, 7 out of 10 couples who are interracial do not succeed. There's a reason why. And that is strictly because of societal norms that stacks up against the interracial couple. And it's true, son. I don't care if you date a white, black, Latina, or any other ethnicity, just know your odds are stacked up against you. You gotta toughen up when that happens. If you happen to marry outside of the Hmong people, son. Because statistically, those type of couples maybe last a few years, maybe, but probably not more than that. That's if you're the exception to the rule. And I highly doubt that chance would arise if you were to date right off the bat right now, son. That type of
You are not exceptional, son.
Yeah, that's what my old man basically said to me, and I understand why he said that, because like I
kind of like get it out of your, like get that young cockiness out of your head. You are not exceptional.
Right. Like that prepared. He told me this when I was 16, so it's like I kind of wised up ever since then because of my old man, and because of his wisdom, he really said like, you don't have to limit, but understand the limitations. That's what he said. Don't limit yourself, but know the limitations. Because Other people are variables in this huge. He described it as like a line graph. In this line graph, there are dots. Those are nodes, and if you see a cluster of them alongside the line, that's the average. The exceptions are outside of that average. That's why it's called exception. It's not computable data that is significant. Those are the exceptions to the rule, son. If you are outside of that, then you are considerably lucky or unlucky. There's a reason why it's called exception. And how he described it to me was that because you are dating in an interracial relationship, you not only have to deal with different norms, you're also dealing with different rules. There's different rules of engagement here. You can't go out of your way to talk about your culture willy-nilly like, because that lowers expectations. And when that happens, they become complacent. And when they do, they have no motivation to learn more about it other than to say like, oh, I'm just learning to respect his family when they're around. You won't teach them the values, the true core norms of our culture. Do that way because it's impossible. You can't dump all the knowledge that you know to them and expect them to remember. That's just basic human psychology, because when you have an overload of stimuli, you're not going to remember half of the things, because you are strictly remembering things that are relevant to you, that you deem is important. And if it just so happens that our culture is not deemed a priority for your spouse or partner, it's over. Like, that's done. You can't do anything about it. You can't train them. You can't condition them. It is over. They'll only ever learn about the culture through you, but they will only treat it as such when they're around specific context and scenario. That's it. They will never go outside those boundaries. Those are only for the exceptions to the rule, that they're able to extend past those boundaries and actually learn more about the culture. You know, if you're that lucky, son, go for it. If not, just know the limitations. And that's how I fucking wised up at 16 and realized, like, my dad wasn't lying. I mean, you know, being a young guy and all, like, I had the thought cross my mind a few times, like, oh yeah, dating is in the cards for me. But I didn't choose to, because I realized the limitations at our high school. And you know what I'm talking about, right? Because, like, there were limitations for me because I'm the only Hmong guy there. So basically I had like no other Hmong person to talk to. So I'm like, this could be problematic. And then I slowly realized what my old man was trying to do was that, son, you're not gonna find another Hmong person here. There are no Hmong people here. And that's okay. You will face challenges beyond that. And that got me thinking, like, damn, you're right. Like, you're right. My old man was right. Because I was in such a limited pool size of people to choose from, really. And having no Hmong people exclusively, it's like, what can you do? You can't do anything about it. The only Hmong people you ever know in your city is us, the family, no one else. And that kind of put me in a weird complex, if you will, of just like eyeing out my options and realizing that, one, I may never get a Hmong spouse here. And two, I have to deal with the limitations as well of what my father has stated to me. So it's like, what can you do? It's either A, you take the risks and see where that goes, or B, don't date at all. I chose B, obviously. I chose to not date ever because, you know, being a 16-year-old, you know, you're liable to be dumb. I didn't want to be dumb, so I was like, you know what?
You're not gonna be dumb. You're just dumb.
Right? Like, that's what my old man said. Like, kids are dumb. It's okay. Get over it. So that's how he explained it to me. I'm like, okay. okay, I can deal with this. So from that day on, I did not date anybody because I knew the limitations and the reasons why from my old man. And I realized then, like, dating is still in the cards for me, even to this day. It's just, am I willing to accept the risks or not? So far, no, I have not, because I have yet to see any other Hmong people other than myself and my family. So it's really hard for me to say that I can date freely, even though I'm open to those options. I'm open to dating any other ethnicity outside of my own. But does that guarantee anything? Despite the risks, the statistics, the reasonings, the plausible deniability, my old man was right. So it's like, how can I deny anything he said, considering that he just only told me the harshest truth of my circumstance as a young man? Is like, you can't date anyone inside your ethnicity because we don't live in those type of clusters. There are rare chances. The only chance you have is in the old country. So I understand your predicament, son, but just know this: if you just take home a girl one day that's outside of the Hmong people, you're gonna face up with those limitations, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's okay.
We're going to get fucked up by your family.
Dude, no joke. Like, my family is hardcore parkour, okay? They are the essence of how I live my life, basically. If it wasn't for them, I probably would not be here today. Just saying. So
I mean, literally.
I wised up, dude, from a very young age. And some people say, like, it's kind of cruel that my family did that to me. You know, I didn't have to be wised up at such a young age. But I dare say, had I not wised up, I probably would be doing some questionable things. And probably not be, you know, myself today. So how can I, like, not, you know, disassociate from my family? There's a reason why I say, like, 10 out of 10 times I would choose my family over my girl. And it's a pretty good reason.
It's, I mean, honestly, I think in your case, you did kind of come in at a disadvantage just from, like, what you were born as. But, I will say this. In my own history, I have had my race effects. You know, who I was and wasn't allowed to date, strictly because of, you know, what an older generation thought. All I'm going to say, in your case, is this. If you want to break this cycle in which you are very much unable to date outside of a very, very, very small pool of people, you're gonna have to be the generation that gets scorned from the rest of the family. You will have to plant the seeds for fruit that you will never eat.
Mm-hmm. And that it doesn't also help I'm the only son in the family. Had I not been the only son in the family, I probably would have been like, yeah, I'm open to it. But
yeah,
I'm not.
The thing is, you're gonna have to decide at one point is if you want if or when you have kids, are you going to have them have to deal with the same like stigma that you've had to deal with, or are you gonna be the one who finally bites the bullet and just, you know, you're gonna have to be the one who to put up with a bunch of crap so your kid never has to and their kids never have to, because you're the one who broke the cycle.
I'm already getting anxiety just talking about this. Just knowing, like...
Well, I'm not saying you're gonna have to think about it or make a decision now. I'm just saying eventually you're probably gonna have to decide.
I suppose, but, like, even then, like, man, it is getting like I'm in the hot zone of just like a trove of like women everywhere in a university setting, no less. So it's like stimuli up the goddamn wazoo, and I'm just sitting here like, oh my god, wait, this isn't how I pictured it. This isn't all cracked up to be. I realized my circumstances as the only son of the family is starting to hit me now. I realized my old man was right this whole time. I shouldn't have doubted him. Oh god. Even my mom, I'm just like thinking to myself like, how can I bring home a white girl to my mom?
Do you have a thing for white girls?
No, I'm just saying like situation wise, like no offense, but they say, well, I should say my mom will not accept a black kid.
Oh dear.
Yep.
I'm not even gonna bother going into that one.
Yep.
We'll leave that one alone.
But that's fine, you know, that's what my mom, you know, said, and I'm gonna accept her terms because, you know, she's my mom. She could have easily gave me up, but she did. She still stuck up with me. And it's not because of racist things. She just preferred not to. Even though that is a little bit stereotypical.
About to say, a preference based strictly on the color of someone's skin is racism, man.
It is stereotypical, I will say.
I'm not talking shit about your mom. I'm just stating something definition-wise.
God, like even my little sister is scoring. It shames me enough knowing like I'm the older brother. I should be like a good example, but the fact that she's able to score among I no less. Oh god. Oh, why can't that happen to me? Why couldn't it?
Actually, I have actually been thinking about that. Are your sisters dating anybody who's not?
Oh
of the
my
same
god,
race?
my elder sister is. Well, I probably shouldn't say this, but she is dating someone out of the Hmong ethnicity.
It's a white guy, isn't it?
Nope.
No.
Asian ethnicity, bro.
Oh, okay.
I won't say otherwise, but my family has been taking it kind of well. I say kind of because it's mostly from my sisters than my parents. So, yeah.
Really? Your sisters are giving your sister crap?
A little bit. I say a little because I don't know the details because I don't talk about relationships. All right.
That's fair.
I don't touch fire with fire. You hear?
I'll imagine if she brings home a black guy. Oh man, that's gonna start some shit.
Oh my god, I'm just scared of my own being because, like I said, being the only son in the family, it carries a huge burden on me. I'm heavily reliant on carrying the family name. And keeping the bloodline alive. And oh man.
Hey man. One day you can either live by what your parents tell you or live by how you feel.
Oh god.
But you know, that's a conversation for you, man.
That is a conversation for me, honestly. And to not be a Debbie Downer, the fact that my dad scored a Korean chick, a white chick, a Latina, like, and another multitude of Hmong girls, like, and a Thai, and a Lao girl.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Your dad looked like Jackie Chan.
No, he didn't look like Jackie Chan. He had a Jackie Chan hairstyle.
It was the early 90s. Nobody cared.
Okay, yes, and he was scoring chicks left and right. He would tell me, but this was when he was in high school as well as in college. So it's like, holy shit!
You're just sitting over there, no game whatsoever.
Yeah, no game whatsoever. So it's like I have nothing like my old man.
Like, son, I am so proud of you in so many ways. And man, you have really disappointed me in this particular way.
No, my dad specifically told me, like, I'm kind of proud that you didn't go for a lot of chicks. I'm like, oh, thanks, Dad. Appreciate it.
Did you ever ask him why he was proud?
Oh yeah, I did ask him, and he's like, oh, because I don't know if you can deal with it, but I could because I had a wife, so it was very easy for me. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, Mom. That makes a lot of sense now. God. If I had a wife right now, that would be great. I didn't have to deal with this, I guess. But since I don't, I have to deal with the dating world. Yeah, you know what? Very apt. God damn it. You found it. Such a perfect timing. Oh, that's my dad literally just hoarding me in, just like, hey, you got a girl yet? Nope. You want a Hmong girl? Thanks, Dad, but it's not my choice. God damn it. Oh, thank you, Weirdo, for reassuring my self-confidence in me. Maybe I should dive into online dating.
Now, okay, I've actually done like the app dating, and I can tell you this now.
Oh boy.
It's not great. It sucks. It's But
oh, yeah.
I mean, you do have one good thing going for you. You might get matches strictly based on the fact that you're Asian.
Ain't that the truth? Fucking yellow fever ever since the K-pop wave happened.
Well, there's that, and there's also just, Asian girls go for Asian guys. There's not a lot of mixing going on there.
Yeah, the voice gets girls. No, the fuck it doesn't, weirdo.
Wait, what?
Apparently, okay, on Discord, whenever I go into servers and I just say hi, apparently people fawn for that shit.
Your voice?
Yeah, no joke, apparently. But this is very normal, right? Like, this is just my normal voice and nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, it's I don't know.
Remember the video.
And I have been told that my voice is a bit nasally.
But my voice has been sexy once.
Oh Jesus! Well, I think the reason that I sound nasally is because I realize I talk at like the top of my voice, at like the top of my throat. When in actuality, like, if I just like didn't talk from my throat and just kind of relaxed a bit more, I would sound a bit more like this.
You remember the video? Well, what happened to Yellow Fever? Yeah, I remember that one. Omegle. Oh. God damn it, weirdo. You're unlocking memories. Okay, so give you context, Ryan. I would jokingly go on Amigo just to see what happens and explore the tags as you do. Because Amigo is just a cesspool of negativity. So I'm like, yeah, sure, fuck it, why not? Let's go with this. So I did. And like 6 out of 10 people that weren't dicks, by the way, just saying, they always say, wow, I was not expecting that voice to come out of an Asian boy. So like,
you do kind of have the white guy voice.
I know, right? So it's like, what the fuck? Like, do Asian guys not have a deep voice anymore?
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free.
Yep. And it confuses the fuck out of me. I'm like, do y'all not like meet people with deep voices or something? Like, and then like, oh no. We just don't expect Asian guys to have it. I'm like, what the fuck type of stereotypes are these?
I'm confused too. Like,
I'm confused. Like, are we supposed to have high pitched voices like every Korean K-pop idol just like 사랑해?
Oh. Okay. Oh. That K-pop shit somewhere else.
Listen, that's what they're expecting, right? Apparently. And I did this test. Okay, so I would talk in a higher pitched voice. Or like I'll just be like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then all of a sudden, I would just switch over to my normal voice. I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And then they freak out. I'm like, "Wow." So they don't freak out with the high-pitched voice, but they do freak out about the low-pitched voice. I see. All right.
Yes. Now it all makes sense.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Yzma.
Oh yeah, it's all coming together.
And like, it also confuses the fuck out of me because like I'm thinking to myself like, how many other Asian guy stereotypes can I go with? So I did this thing. I was like, okay, let me just take off my hat and see what happens. And then apparently like, wow, you look 18. And I'm like, ooh. Oh, how nice.
You want to solve that? You gotta grow out some facial hair, man.
Dude, I am baby face all the way. I hate facial hair on myself, bro. It annoys the fuck out of me.
And you haven't seen me in, oh man, 6, 7 years? 7 years, yeah. I have a beard now.
Nice. You know, I kind of pictured you having a beard. I'm not gonna lie.
I have a full beard at that.
Woohoo! I still look baby face.
Oh no, I suspected that you looked pretty much the same as you did back then.
Of course.
Like,
God damn it.
You know, the one exception to that is now you have a hat.
Yeah, I do have a hat. Oh my god, we should tell people like you met me before I started wearing my hat.
Yep. That is that is going to be the biggest difference. Like, oh, how long have you known Yang? Since before we started wearing hats. Like, was there anything else different about him? No.
No.
Just the hat.
Just the hat. It's just funny, just thinking of like, okay, no lie, some of my Discord friends freak out whenever they see me take off my hat. And I'm like, it's just my hat. And they're like, we thought it's like super glued to your goddamn head since we see it all the time. I'm like, it's a fashion choice. How dare you? And of course, the main reason why I couldn't wear a hat back in the day was because of our stupid dress code. We couldn't wear caps. We couldn't wear any other hats. And I'm like, I feel I'm being restricted. So the moment I got out of high school, I was like, I'm gonna start wearing hats now.
And here we are.
And here we are.
I need to start wearing a hat. I have a receding hairline.
Ugh, don't worry. I'm getting there. Getting there.
You'll be fine.
Dude, I'm about to like feel like I'm gonna be one of those Asians that doesn't age.
Man, isn't that a good thing?
I guess so, but once I hit like 60, dude, plummet.
Yeah, the Asian woman aging process. Literally, they look pretty young pretty much up until they hit like 60. Then they become like the stereotypical small old
like
Japanese
Ajumas. Yeah, like all the Ajumas out there. I feel like I'm about to be the OG.
Oyaji.
Oh god. I'm already picturing myself. I have like gray hair or no hair and still wearing the hat.
You're still wearing that? Yeah, I think that's actually what it is. Like, mentally, you're already at that stage, so now you're just wearing the hat.
Mentally.
You don't have the cane yet.
Oh,
For the back
would I rock a
problems.
cane or would I? Oh, hmm. What type of pimp cane?
I assure you, there is no pimping where you are unless you go to the red light district.
No, I should get one of those cane swords. That's what I should get.
They sell those too.
Yep,
Like,
they
unironically.
absolutely fucking do, and I'm gonna have it.
Right. Well, I would say this was a pretty successful podcast. Granted,
You know what? I loved every second of it.
So silly.
It really it's just our normal high school conversations, bro. Nothing has changed.
So strange.
So strange.
We got way off topic.
Dude, that's the point.
Like I was gonna say, like when you're talking about like dating, I was like, okay, and what does that have to do with Yip Man? He married a Chinese woman, so.
I think they're both Chinese.
Yep.
But anyway, let's shut off this Lofi and Chill Talks, y'all. Thank you for joining us today. And my esteemed guest, Ryan.
Yo, I may or may not be back for another one of these if this man ever decides to post ever again. When was the last time I posted? Was it been like 4 months?
Just a couple of days ago. How dare you?
And I'll believe it when I see it.
Oh, you cock.
Oh, I'll have you know, I am no cock, sir.
Alright, we'll end the stream here. Thank you all for joining.
Have a girlfriend for that.
Oh, shush. If you go, what am I supposed to listen to while playing Breath of the Wild? Lo-fi. Just start playing lo-fi, bro.
Just look up, like, no, I don't even have a joke for this, because I honestly don't know where you're gonna find this same level of chaos.
Probably
like,
every JonTron.
Yeah, but then you have to click on the videos, and yeah.
You're saying clicking on
also...
videos is a fucking chore? How dare you?
Yeah, well, it is if you're, like, listening to it on your phone, and you have to pick it up every time you're playing. Sometimes you don't feel like pausing. You know what, this is, you know, you have a good point. This is a really stupid problem to have, but...
Without the chill talk. Yes, without the chill talk, weirdo. But in any case, I don't wish to take up your time, Ryan. Say your farewells.
So... You know, I don't know how to end this. Eat your vegetables, stay in school.
Nice.
Try to major in something that's not a saturated market.
Nice.
And, if you ever find yourself dating a white girl, just be aware of what your parents might think.
Ain't that the fucking truth?